Carry on.
Craig. How are you?
Okay, thank you.
Craig, your reaction to the news that Russell Anderson's decided to extend his stay at the club?
Well, very pleased to hear that Russell's happy to commit himself for an extension of his contract, because he's a very influential player and a very influential guy around the club, in the dressing room and beyond. So he's arguably the most popular guy in the squad at the moment, certainly with the fans. So it's terrific to have Russell committed. You know, I was dreading the fact that he might have thought that he would retire, but he's pleased to have another season at least. And I gave him as an example David Weir, who was more than 40 when he was winning the championship with Rangers. So hopefully Russell can get it before then. And he's certainly a model professional and terrific example for everyone. So that's a great bit of business, I think.
What sort of impact does it have on the younger players from having somebody like that around?
Well, I think everyone in the place respects him. Players, fans, staff, and Russell's got a great image here, thoroughly deserved, and you know, no one could be happier than I am that Russell's staying here at Aberdeen.
And what have you been saying to the players since obviously the cup defeat against us? What have you said to the players?
Well, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, you know, we haven't had the group together as a group since the Hibs defeat, because there's international commitments, and I'm very pleased to say that two got a game for Northern Ireland. Niall McGinn has been a regular in the team, but Josh McGuinness got part of the game. So a full international cap. Another one for Josh was good. Joe Shaughnessy was away playing international football. Young goalkeeper Danny Rogers was away. Clark Robertson was away. So half the squad have been away. So it's not been appropriate to get them together. They know that, having been told after the game, the requirements now. The requirement is a strong storming league finish. If we can possibly achieve that, it'll compensate a little for the very unfortunate cup defeat.
Can I ask you what you made of last night's game?
I was very pleased, and as Hamish, husband of the Tartan Army, was sitting behind me, I didn't really tap my shoulder at the end, and of course he was a great loyal supporter when I was in the job, and he says it's great to get a victory. Now I think everyone feels that way. Great to get a Scotland victory, and you know, I'm sure I listened to Gordon and I agree with what he said. Some very good individual performances, and once they get to know what he wants and get into a settled routine, I think we'll go from strength to strength. To win an international game, and don't minimise how difficult it is to beat Estonia, because they beat Northern Ireland twice in the last qualifying campaign. This one rather, you know, so you're playing a team which is settled and with the same manager. Here's a change of manager, therefore a change of approach, and that takes time. So therefore to beat Estonia is a good achievement, although they're lower ranked in Scotland. It's still a victory, as Hamish said to me.
And Chris Burke, a fantastic call-out from Strachan as well.
Yeah, that was an inspired selection, and Chris looked terrific. We've always thought he's a fine player, but he proved that last night. And you know, Gordon has unearthed, you know, he's one that we've known for years, and he was, and I way back I recall him in the under-21 team, and a very promising young boy at Ibrox, but now he's blossoming, and if he continues to do that, we've another good wide player, James Forrest, as well. So I mean, there are one or two players who weren't around last night. When they get back as well, the Scotland team will be stronger.
And Strachan said after match that there were a few combinations that worked really well last night, there are a few that didn't work quite so well. I mean, what were your thoughts, in your humble opinion, what would you say on that?
Well, it is a humble opinion, because I wouldn't be presumptuous and try and tell Gordon his job. But, you know, having been in the job, a friendly game's difficult, especially when you start to use the revolving door. And I had a chat with Gordon before it, and we were discussing the use of the substitutes, and I totally agreed that if you're going to use 6 substitutes, try and get at least 2 on, maybe 3 at half time, so that the door isn't revolving at that technical area. So I was pleased to see that our discussion resulted in, you know, 2 substitutes at half time, and then others early enough to give the guy going on a chance to make an impact. But it's untidy when there are as many subs. But I think Sven changed the whole team once for England, and FIFA then came with a rule that you can only have 6. And I think that's wise. I changed more than 6 in a game, I think, against Finland at Easter Road once. And I know afterwards, when I looked at the tape of the game, I was squirming a bit because it wasn't a proper game in the second half, because we were just giving guys a cap at that point, and it was untidy. And it wasn't untidy last night because the substitutes, I thought, were used sensibly and early, and it gave another cap to Kenny Miller, for example. You see, sometimes you would put a player on to give him the acknowledgement of an international cap, because if you are picking a first choice team, you might have played him. And I remember Tom Boyd and David Weir being in that situation when Celtic and Hearts were going for the championship at one time, and arrested them at the request of their manager. But by arresting them, you deprive them of a cap, and these guys start to count their caps. And when they get near 50, they start to say, I'm near the Hall of Fame. So if he would normally be a first choice, sometimes you would acknowledge that by giving him part of the game, which gives him an international cap.
St Mirren, of course, this weekend. This is a bad time to be playing them?
No, and we're desperate to get back into action after the disappointment of the Cup. And the long wait to the next game is disappointing. We'd like to play the next day. After you lose a game like that, you want to redeem yourself as quickly as possible. You don't want time to dwell on the disappointment, and we've had a bit of time to dwell on that. I think St Mirren at the moment are the form team in the SPL. We've got a very difficult fixture, we're aware of that, but I think we're capable, and we should be. I think this is the first of, with 5 games, 4 at home here, and I think and hope that we can make an impact in the 4 home games, and then of course the away one at Kilmarnock in between, to get us propelled up the league.
Is there a feeling, Craig, of injustice after the Hibs game then? A sense of frustration that you want to take out on St Mirren?
Well, not to take out on St Mirren, but I did feel a bit similar to the Cup semi-final. There is a feeling of, well, you say injustice, I'll say major disappointment as to the circumstances which transpired there in the game. So, we're not going to be moaning about it. I could easily do that, but we'll just accept what happened, unfortunately, and go on with it. And I'm not just talking about the penalty misses.
I'm sure nobody's fooled by St Mirren's lowly league position, because they're on fire at the moment.
Yeah,
3 wins in a week.
Yes, 3 good results and a good new loan signing, Concalves, who's scored in every game. So he has come into the SPL the same manner as Ojama did last year, and has sparked St Mirren into a real threat. Ojama did it for Motherwell last year. There was a good signing they got, and that was an inspired one. St Mirren seem to have. I've only seen him on tape, but we'll see him in the flesh on Saturday.
How important is it to keep him quiet during that game?
I would suspect that would be vitally important, yeah. But it's difficult because they've got other players who play, young players. McLean, I think, is an outstanding midfield player, the left-footed midfield player. Paul McGowan has come back. He was out for a long time injured, playing very well. Gary Teal can go down the side and deliver. There's a team of good threat from middle to front, and big Stephen Thompson. It's one of the best finishers in the SPL. So we're well aware that we have a game on. We won comfortably at Paisley earlier, but it'll be a totally different game here.